Okay, Multi on Autodesk asks how to make a sail using nCloth. He kind of went through quite a bit of points of how to make one and where he has gotten. So I took some notes, and I think what I'm going to do is just rebuild some simple scenes and kind of address these notes one by one together. So starting off, I think he created a plane that's 30 by 30. So I'll just make it this guy, something like this, maybe not so big. Maybe -90. And what I'm going to do actually is I'll make a duplicate here, and I'll just hide it for now. That will be for later. And from here, we're going to make it in cloth. I'm just going to fly through these. Obviously, he's already got the scene built. So I believe you also create a cylinder. Okay, I'm just going to move up here, make it smaller, make it smaller on the radius probably. Alright, and then this is going to be a passive collider. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more frames to simulate. I don't need this. nCloth is there. So we're talking about make some points, and so I think what he did was point on surface, and then that's going to attach the cloth onto the top. And so now our cloth is good. I'm going to make it a little bit stiff or stretch this. Here, let's take a look. So the first question he asks is attach the bottom sail to the rope and a curve, and how to do that. I'm going to create a curve real quick. Let's see. It's going to do something like that. I mean, assuming that you're going to put your curve in the right place, I'm just going to eyeball here. So and then I'll duplicate, go to left. What am I doing here? -1 probably. Yeah. Seem to be good enough. Again, I'm going to copy these two, and that's for my other scene there somewhere. I'll save this for later. So the first thing first is to make these dynamic curves. So we can select all or select one of each, and we can go to end here, and I'm going to make a select curve dynamic. I think the default setting is probably going to be okay. I'm going to uncheck that because I don't want to attach to anything at the moment. So, and it's going to give me these. So I believe these are actually input curves, so I don't really need those. But what I would do is I will make the ends lock. So what I'm going to do is I do transform constraint, same here. Then to attach it, what you want to use is actually component to component constraint, which is the second option here. The tricky part to do that is, you know, I think generally we try to do something like this, but then the other object keeps switching. So what I would do is I will select them and then press F8. And that should get us everything. Let me see what happened here. Oh, control curve. All right. Oh, weird. Interesting. It's not letting me select. Okay, let me sim real quick. These are still curves, right? So I think what I would do is select that and select this. Then you have the 4 points and the 1 point on the curve. And then we'll do component to component constraint. Generally the FA would have worked. I'm not sure why it's not working. So I guess maybe you have to select it first. And same thing, with just a middle mouse click that. And if I sim it now, you're gonna notice that they don't really move that much. What is happening is my my hair is actually locked. I can actually show you a little bit better. Let's just put some wind to it. So as you can see, this part is not moving, right? But at least they're connected together for the moment. What I need to do is actually detach them. So going to actually need to go to follicle. And notice it's not selecting in the attribute editor, so I'll just press down and it's going to go to the follicle. So the point lock, instead of both ends, I'm going to use no attach. And that goes for the other follicle as well. Okay, so now you can see the rope is connecting there, and then that's how you're going to attach it. Some issues here that the rope is really stretchy, so what you can do is obviously turn on the stretch resistant, or you can do no stretch. And I think your constraint also need to be a little bit strong as well. And so I'll just kind of set random settings there for now. I guess this is kind of what you're starting off with. The thing to, well, I guess let's take a look at what are the other things that you're trying to do. So you're talking about the vertical lines on the cells and the dynamic knot untied itself. Well, I'm going to take a look at number 2 and number 4 together. I happen to got some reference. So in order to make anything realistic, the reference is the key. You kind of want to see how the cell is looking and kind of just study that. I guess, you know, if we look into the reference like this, these are probably ropes in the way. As you can see, it's making it taut, and so then you kind of get those lines. And one way to do it is you can actually use what's called the input measure tract. So what I can do is I'll just do real quick. Maybe I'll do some of these lines that already have a constraint to it. So I'll just do 3 lines. What I did was control, left mouse click, right vertex, and then 2 vertices. So I just did that really quick from the edge, because you're wondering. And what I will do is I'm going to go to Paint, Input, Attract. So right now it's actually painting everything. So what I'm going to do is kind of just paint them off. And then once I go in here, I'm just going to flood these guys. And reset sim. Using input mesh to attract, I actually have to kind of turn them on a bit. I don't need to lock it because, you know, I don't need to have them to be original position. So what I can do here, ooh, it's not really giving me the look that I want. Let's see. Sometimes you want to check if actually the input mesh track is working, which should be. Let's take a look again. Of course. All right. Input attract, flood. Okay, still good. So there you go. You can kind of get somewhat similar look like that. You just want to go, you have to dial in on these kind of guys, and then you can kind of see how it looks like. So that kind of answers question 2 and 4. We can come back to 4 in the very end. For the dynamic rope and curve knots that's untying itself, I think what you need to do is you can use dynamic curve and use, let's say your knot is made out of polygon, right? And then you can use a dynamic curve to drive that, and then connecting them by using a wire deformer. So you can find a wire deformer here, deform wire, and then so what you do is basically select the object surface and then select the curve. Then so your curve will be straight, but then you know your model can be loop-de-loop, whatever, and then so it doesn't matter what you do, it will just kind of stay the knot itself. You would need to kind of turn on the radius a little bit. Maybe that's something that you have to try it out, or I have to make another video for you. But to take it to the next level, when you talk about realistic, other than just looking at what we already saw, taking more references, stuff like this. So this is actual cell. You simply just need more polygons. So I'm gonna keep this guy here, and remember we have our other curves and meshes here. And so what I'm gonna do is recreate this, but then I'm actually gonna up the sampling, or up the resolution here. So okay, since I'm in modeling, I'll just do that. In this case, I'm just gonna do one subdivision, and that actually bring us to 45,000, or your previous, actually sorry, 36,000, 3600, where previously it's only 900, right? And I would say this is still pretty low, but we'll give it a try because potentially it could be pretty slow. Alright, so what we need to do is we'll create nCloth here. This time I'm going to actually create in different nucleus. Then for these two, we will create hair dynamic. Sad thing about this is I don't know. Well, that's kind of unfortunate. Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Good thing Maya saved the scene, so let's keep going. So I guess it's already created nCloth. I'll create. Oh, it create the end here as well, which is great. So I will do. Yeah, remember these guys. So let's see. Turn this to a no attach. Same as this guy. And transform constraint. You don't have to use transform constraint obviously, because you're gonna be what is that? Yeah, you're gonna be attached this to something else. But I'm just showing you this part is gonna be locked in somewhere for now. Ah, here you go. My FA actually worked this time. So I tend to like select more points just so there's more stability. As you notice, if you just select one point on the mesh and one point on the curve, you're gonna have really stretch sharp one polygons on the edge, which later on you might have to smooth it. I always find that this one is more stable when you're attaching more points to the mesh. Component constraint. Do the same here. This guy, I'm just gonna select few. Not that guy though. Yeah. So point to surface, right? Alright, so if we play it, sorry, I need to change these guys to nucleus 2, because right now I think they're nucleus 1. At least that's what I think they are. You won't have to do this, because I'm showing you a different way of doing things, so just making sure. I'm gonna turn off nucleus 1 to speed up our sim. I'm also going to save the scene. And what do I need to do? Kind of lock on these guys, no stretch. Turn on these more. And whoops, maybe I should turn off some of these guys. For now. And let's see. We talk about getting that the line look, right? So I'll do this here. Actually, do that first. Input measure tracked. Collider strength. That's not what I want. So I'm gonna do it again. Thank you. And then I can feel the sluggish. That's okay. And what do we need to do? Add a little bit of wind to it. So already you can see this little bit more wrinkle, especially look on this frame that you are getting some wrinkles that we weren't getting before. Yes, I can turn back on the other guys just to compare. Cylinder I had so many things I kind of forgot where they are. Right, so even if I were to turn on the first nucleus with more wind, so this should be roughly the same. You're going to see the other one's gonna just give you more more detailed look, at least for here, right? Like we can see it on the side view, or even let's just do it wireframe. And this is kind of what I think what we're seeing here, as in, you know, if let me just zoom in a little bit more. Kind of these lines that is being pulled by the edge of corner here, and that in order to get that you just need more polygons. So even you probably can another subdivision on top of this and simulate that. And one more thing I want to add is adding wind isn't necessarily easy, I would say, because as you can see the sail is kind of going up and down, and the wind is, it doesn't just, you know, kind of keep the shape, right? When you see a sailboat, it kind of keeps the shape. So what you're actually gonna have to try to do is play with a setting called the pressure. And pressure, you kind of have to play around with this a bit to see how it's working for you. So I'm going to turn off the wind for now, and maybe I'll do a little bit of damping. So it looks like yeah, one of the things that you have to do, you kind of have to turn off the seal hole because they kind of expect like a beach ball when you have this option checked. Now when it's unchecked, you can kind of see it's just, then it kind of try to hold the shape a little bit more, and maybe I'm doing too much, so I'll just go easy on it. So I see, then that's kind of what you're looking for. And once you get the look you want, we can then add a wind into it. Maybe we'll do somewhere like 10, 11. Then you kind of get a little bit of variation of the sail moving a little bit here and there, right? I know there's a bit of stretching here, so you kind of have to play around with the setting for that too. Maybe you don't want to use transform constraint. I'm only use it to kind of showcase of this example, but I think normally you probably would want to do point to surface constraint just like you did up here. And so looks like the wind kind of died down a little, and we can just turn on the noise a little bit, kind of get a little bit of variation. But yeah, again, if you want to get more minor details, you really have to go heavy. But you know, just kind of get the feel for the settings and how it is set up before you kind of, you know, adding all these things to it. And I think I actually forgot to add my, yeah, well, maybe that's too high. There you go, dial back it down a little bit more. Let it go. So yeah, maybe something like that. Well, maybe not something like that. It's kind of pretty bad, but I would just. So this is kind of what my approach to it, and so play around with it and see how it goes for you. But yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, good luck.